Hey friends, this may not exactly be an adventure, but this is certainly part of the business of being an artist and getting the job done. I have here on my easel a painting that I did at a wedding just last Saturday, and this is Tuesday afternoon as we speak. I don't usually bring my wedding paintings home, but this was a local client, and I offered to bring a wet painting home and deliver it at a later date. I like the freedom of going back and retouching a painting, of course, after I'm done. But this one I actually didn't retouch at all. I will tell you, I did paint the top and the bottom. And so it's called gallery wrap. The painting is painted all the way around, so it doesn't need a frame. And I thought it would be a good idea to show you what I do to put a wire on a canvas. First of all, I found it convenient to put all of my wire putting tools in one bucket. It doesn't have to be this kind of bucket, of course, but I find that I work a lot better if everything's organized. So let me show you some of the tools that I have. Now there are a lot of different ways to put wires on a painting. In fact, let me show you one of the ways that I typically don't use, but it's a perfectly good option. Let me show it to you. It's when you use this kind of hook. Can you see that? And you screw that to the edge and put the wire between there. I've used many of these in years past, but it's not what I typically do these days. Why? Because to do these, you pretty much need a variable speed drill on hand. And I do this, by the way, in the field when I'm painting. I typically do my wires on location. So let me show you what technology I do use. I use eye hooks. Got it? See that? And there are a couple tools that make this job really easy. This one is a kind of a weird one. I'm not exactly sure what to call it. I don't remember where I got it. I would think that any woodworker shop, I don't know if, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, I don't know if they have these or not, but I believe it's called a screw starter. And as you can see by the tip there, I know that's not quite in focus, but that is used so that I don't have to carry a drill around with me. I measure down. By the way, it is not absolutely necessary that the eyes that we put in here be exactly level, because there's going to be a wire and the painting hangs on a wire that swivels this way. So I don't ever waste time with a ruler or a tape measure measuring. I just typically use my finger, and I want to go down about 1/3, yeah, maybe 1/4 of the way down. I'll tell you that most of the time on a painting this big, it's that far. So that gives me a measure, and then I just push and screw this screw starter about a dozen times. You can feel it when it gets nice and tight. That's good enough. Then you can back it out, and so that goes in my little bucket. Got it? And then I also carry, again, needle nose vice grips. Now, I'm a little bit weird. I have a pretty good tool collection, not compared to a professional or serious hobby furniture builder, but for a guy with a house, I have a pretty good selection of tools, power tools and so on. But I don't want to use power tools because I'm out in the field, I'm on the street. If I sell this painting on the street and I want to put a wire on it, I don't have time to go home and get a drill. So I'm kind of a nut about vice grips. I love vice grips. I think they're one of the best inventions ever made. So I just put my screw eye in my vice grips fairly tight, and then I use this to screw the screw eye all the way in. That's plenty tight, plenty tight. By the way, one of the reasons that I also prefer, can I zoom in over here? Yeah, I can. Okay. One of the reasons that I prefer slightly the eye as opposed to the thing I showed you a minute ago. Let me bring it up again. Sorry. Okay. When I prefer this to this, because this right here breaks this plane. If you use this, two things. One is this is going to be in contact with the wall that the painting is hanging on. And believe it or not, that metal is going to make a mark on the wall. I don't even mean like scratch. I mean like oxidization. The metal is going to leach into latex paint or wallpaper or whatever. So I like it better recessed behind this plane than no hardware ever hits the wall. So that's just another detail. You don't have to agree with me about that, and you don't have to follow me, but that's my 2 cents worth, again, for what it's worth. Okay, so we repeat the operation again. A screw starter. I'm hoping if you, I should have looked online to see if you Google the word screw starter, will you find one of these online? And I'm not at all sure that you will. So again, measuring roughly the same distance, that's close enough to the other, and screw about 10 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and a smudge. That's good enough. By the way, most of these stretchers are pine, which means they're fairly soft wood. If by any chance you get one that's hardwood, this technique probably won't work. You'll need to get a drill. But any store-bought painting is going to have pine stretcher bars, and this works fine for that. Okay, so again, my needle nose vice grips hold it. Would regular vice grips work? Not as well. Not quite as much clearance here. It'd be running into the backboard. Okay, that's good and tight. Now, finally, of course, there's the wire. Let me see if I have a piece of wire. Oh, I don't. I was going to say already still in the package, but I tore off the top of the package so it wouldn't clog up my tool bucket. You get that? All right, here's what I normally do. Just let this, you don't have to cut it at first, just let that go like a slinky down to the floor as far as it wants to. And as long as you're careful, bring this in. Let me zoom in here for you again so you can see this really well. Can I do this? Yes, I can. Hang on. Okay, so I have seen this mistake made. At least I think it's a mistake. I've seen people put about this much of it through and like twist this like 3 times. Nah, not in my opinion. You want to put about 2.5 inches. It doesn't have to be 3 or 4 inches. 2.5 should be plenty. But twist it a good, again, 10 or 12 times, roughly speaking, and then just pinch it like that. Can you see how that's finished? Now, let's come over to the other side. It's nice to have an easel that swivels, or that's not the word I'm looking for, that slides back and forth. So here we are over here. And let me back up a little bit now for this next view. One really key question is, how tight do you want this? Now, I know some people that feel like a wire ought to be almost straight. Maybe that's okay, but I feel like it's a little easier, especially with a painting this big, when you're hanging it on the wall. You're going to be reaching, somebody's going to be reaching their hand all the way behind here, and they want to be able to put this over a hook on the wall. And so a little bit of slack. Now, how much is a little bit? Not that much. Do you see what I'm doing? Yeah, that's too much. Not tight, so somewhere in between, just a little bit. And then let me zoom in over here. Sorry about all this high-tech, sophisticated camera work. You gotta love this live video stuff. Okay, so once again, so that's about how tight I want it to be, and this much right here will give me plenty to wrap around. And in my toolbox, we haven't seen yet, is a nice piece of pink, lady-colored wire zippers. Believe it or not, they are pink because I got them at a hobby store which catered mostly to women. That's funny. So I wasn't being sexist there. I was just following the marketing. Okay, so cut that there. And again, if you've been fairly careful, fairly careful with this wire, you can just, again, compress the slinky right down, and I just usually leave it just like that. I don't wrap anything around it. I put it back in my little bucket of tools, my plastic jar, and I'm ready to go. Now I'm done with my wire cutters. I'm done with my screw starter. I'm done with my vice grips. And I'm done with my miscellaneous tools that I didn't show you. And I'm ready now, again, to wind this end of the wire. 1, I don't usually count, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you find you've got too much left over, of course, you can snip it off, but I don't this time. I've got just about the right amount. So there we go. That painting is ready to go. Oh, and some of you might be wondering, what in the world are these? They're canvas stretchers. And you know what? I'm gonna demonstrate those another day. I'm not gonna do it today, but I do usually leave them there. If the canvas ever stretches, gets loose, the owner can take these and pound them in the corners. And I should show you that someday, but I'm not going to show you that today. I'll leave that for another video. Okay, well, how to do canvas corner keys. They're called corner keys. So there you go, a stretch canvas ready to deliver to my client. That wasn't very exciting, but I hope it's helpful to some of you. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again later.